This is nonfiction. It's a story about a real dog. And the dog's name, you may have heard this before, is Balto. And it says, the bravest dog ever. A lot of snow. So I know this story takes place up in the cold North Country. So let's see what we can find out about Balto. Oh, and look at this page. I see a sled. And he looks like there's dogs pulling the sled. And maybe this first one here is Balto because he looks kind of dark. He's got dark fur. So let's see the true story of Balto. There's Balto. Look, he's got beautiful blue eyes. That's really something, a dog with blue eyes. Balto lived in Nome, Alaska. Nome was a frontier town. Most of the year, it was buried under ice and snow. My goodness, I wonder if people liked living under ice and snow most of the year. I don't think I'd like it. I used to live in Minnesota, which is pretty far north, and we had winter, but we didn't have it all most of the year. We only had it for a few months. Let's see, it says, in winter, there was no way to travel through all that ice and snow. Not on planes or trains or boats or cars. The only way to travel in Alaska was by dog sled. That's called a dog sled. So it says Balto was a sled dog. He worked for a gold mining company, not far from Nome. He helped carry food and tools to the miners. It was a good life for a sled dog. And he was a good dog too. It says Balto's driver was a man named Gunnar. Gunnar made Balto his lead dog. The lead dog runs in front of the team and he follows the trail. All the other dogs do whatever the lead dog does. I see on here, there's Balto in the front. He's in the lead. He's the leader of the pack. And he has to be smart to know where the trail is. So it says, one cold winter day, a terrible thing happened in Nome. 2 children got very sick. Their parents called the doctor. He was the only doctor in the whole town. So I see here the children are in bed. They're sick. And then looks like Dad is calling the doctor. Mom is looking very worried. So they called the doctor to see if the doctor can come and bring medicine for the children. It says when the doctor saw the children, he was very worried. The children had a terrible sickness. It was called diphtheria. The doctor did not have the medicine he needed. And without the medicine, the children would surely die. Without the medicine, many people in Nome would get diphtheria and die too. The doctor knew he had to get some medicine fast. He's very worried. The children are very sick and they really need medicine. The hospital in Anchorage, Alaska had medicine, but Anchorage was 800 miles away. The doctors in Anchorage put the medicine on a train, but soon the train got stuck in the deep snow. The train was still 700 miles from Nome. It only gone 100 miles when it got stuck in the snow. Oh. This is kind of scary. The people of Nome held a meeting. Everyone was very scared. What are we going to do? Asked the doctor. We have to get that medicine. At last someone said, what about a dog sled relay? When one team of dogs gets tired, a new team will be ready to take over. The room buzzed with excitement. That did seem like the quickest way to get the medicine. But then the doctor frowned. Here's a frown. Oh, I don't think that'll work. It will still take about 15 days. And that's a long time. Too long. Oh, I had my hopes crushed. I had my hopes up and then, oh, they got crushed. Maybe the doctor was right. But there was no other choice. So the mayor spoke over the radio. Please help, he said. We need the best drivers and dogs to help save our town. And I think he meant dog sled drivers because there certainly were no cars that were going to drive up there. We need the best drivers and dogs to help save our town. Gunnar heard the mayor on the radio, and he knew he had the best dog team and the best lead dog. Balto would come to the rescue. So there's Gunnar and Balto, and he heard the message. We need help. Look, here's a picture of Alaska. That's just like I showed you way, way up near the North Pole. And there's Balto. It says, on January 27th, 1925, the race to Nome began. 21 dog teams were in the relay. 21 groups of dogs. Each team waited at a different stop. So it says the first driver took the medicine from the train. He wrapped it in fur to keep it from freezing. Then he drove his dogs as fast as he could to the second stop. He made his run in good time. So here he is wrapping the medicine in the fur to keep it from freezing. And then the dogs are going to go through the snow to try to bring it. But soon the wind began to blow hard. The air grew colder. A blizzard was coming. It was one of the worst storms ever. Still, the race went on. Somehow, each dog team made it to the next stop. Well, that's really... In one team, that's not so good, listen. In one team, 2 dogs froze to death. So the driver hitched himself to the sled and he helped the rest of his dogs pull through the storm. Wow, 2 dogs died. They froze to death. And then the driver, instead of being in the sled, he just got in front with the dogs and started pulling. Now Gunnar and Balto waited at their stop in Bluff. They were going to run 31 miles from Bluff to Point Safety. That was the second to last part of the race. But the storm had slowed things down. Gunnar had been waiting for 2 days. He didn't even sleep. He wanted to be ready to go as soon as the medicine arrived. Wow, now there's a brave man. At last, Gunnar heard dogs barking. The medicine was here. He put it on the sled with a small stove and a little food, and then he hitched up his dogs, and Balto stood proudly in the lead. Then Gunnar cracked his whip. Mush, mush, he cried. That means go. The team ran out into the snowy night. Mush, mush. Oh my goodness. At first the team made good time, but soon big snowdrifts blocked the trail. And the dogs sank up to their necks in snow. They couldn't even move. Some began to panic, but not Balto. He stayed calm. That helped the other dogs while Gunnar dug them out of the snow. At last, the team was on its way again. Oh my goodness. Then the team crossed a frozen river. The dogs and the sled slipped and skidded on the ice. Oh no. Over went the sled. Gunner got it up again, but the medicine was gone, lost in the snow. Oh. Wildly, Gunner dug for the medicine. He could not see through the heavy snow, but at last he felt the package. He put it back on the sled. My goodness, this was a really, really scary trip. Now it says the team kept going across the river. But suddenly Balto stopped short. "Mush, Balto!" shouted Gunner. But Balto would not move. Then Gunner saw why. The ice was cracking. If the team fell into the river, they would all drown. Did I show you? He stopped. Balto had stopped just in time. "Smart dog," Gunner told him. Then he saw that Balto's feet were wet. If they froze, Balto would never be able to walk again. Quickly, Gunner unhitched Balto from the sled. He led the dog to a patch of powdery snow, and Gunner rubbed Balto's paws in the powder. Soon they were dry, and Balto was ready to go once more. Balto was ready to go once more. Balto led the team around the cracking ice, and at last they reached solid land again. They were still on the trail. Gunner had no idea. The snow blew so hard he couldn't even see his own hands. But Balto had run this trail many times before, and now it was up to him and him alone. It was so snowy out that Gunner couldn't even see where he was. Finally, the storm died down. Gunner saw Point Safety just ahead. Balto did it, thought Gunner. He couldn't wait to warm his hands by a cozy fire. But all the lights were out at Point Safety. Where was the next driver? Was he even there? Gunner did not know, and there was no time to find out. So Gunner and Balto decided not to stop. They had never been so tired, but they raced on through the night toward Nome. Wow. Now I'm going to go back to that. It was just before dawn and the sky began to glow in the town of Nome. Everyone was sleeping. Gunner and his team pulled into town. They had made it. Balto was too tired to even bark. They had been on the trail for 20 hours straight. That's like a whole day and a whole night almost. And they had driven 53 miles. Look how tired. Look how tired he looks. Oh, his head is down. He's saying, "I made it at last." Gunner took the medicine to the doctor. The doctor was surprised. He thought it would take 15 days to get the medicine, but Gunner delivered it after only 5.5 days. "Thank you, Gunner," said the doctor. "You are a hero." "Balto's the hero," said Gunner. "I could not have done it without him." I'm sure he couldn't have. Any other dog or team might have just frozen out there in that storm. So the doctor went right to work. He gave the medicine to all the sick people, and in a few days they would be well. The town of Nome was saved. All over America, people cheered for Balto. They read about his bravery in the newspaper. And Balto was the most famous dog in the world. Last page. A year later, the people of New York City put up a statue of Balto. It still stands in Central Park. Lots of children play on the statue, and they remember Balto, the bravest dog ever. Wow, New York is not anywhere near Alaska.